Alright, so here I'm working on a 2002 ZR2 Chevy Blazer 4.3 liter V6. Resetting the timing on it. I do have the distributor out of it and I haven't marked anything when it was pulled apart. So I'm basically starting from scratch. And as a side note here on the distributor, when you're reinstalling it, there's a painted on mark on the bottom of the distributor right there. And there is a little dimple in the bottom of the distributor part that rotates. Right on this side, there's not one on the other side, just the bottom. You want to line that up with the painted on mark. And just like that. And when you do that, the needle will be pointing it won't be pointing directly where you want it on the cylinder 6 mark, which is that right there. That's actually a little 6. I just put paint on it so I can see it. And I've also seen some people say it's going to be lined up with the mounting hole for the cap, and that's not true. It's not going to be lined up with that. It's going to be a little off center, but closer to the middle. Once you drop it in, it's going to spin. If the motor's set correctly, it's going to spin and lock in, pointing at cylinder 6. Which leads me to my next problem, setting the truck at top dead center. I found a few videos on here where people are running the same issue I am, where I set the number 1 cylinder at top dead center in the compression stroke. And I did that, I just held my finger over a spark plug hole. And rotated the motor till it was all the way up. I also took a small screwdriver, touched the top of the piston so I could feel it while I was spinning it over, make sure it was all the way at the top. And the problem I'm having is the timing marks are nowhere near lined up. As you can see, it's way over there. There's the mark on the front cover where it should be lined up. So there's the top one right there, and then there's the other one way over here. So the only thing that I can really think of is I did have that crank pulley off, and I'm thinking that the timing marks on the harmonic balancer spun on the balancer because it's got a nylon bushing between the pulley on the crank pulley. Here's another motor here, another 4.3, and you can see that's actually right there is nylon. And that's the only thing that holds this part of the pulley to this part, the inner part here. So this outer ring has your timing marks on it. So the only thing I can really think of is that it spun. Somehow I spun it on that pulley. I found a few other videos of people saying the same thing. They set it at top dead center and it popped the distributor back in and fired it up, and it was completely fine, even though those timing marks did not line up. So that's where I'm at with that. Another thing, when you're reinstalling your distributor, like I said, you want to have those marks lined up, or as close to it as you can. I mean, it's going to move a little bit on you, but when you're dropping them in, you want to have them lined up. There is a keyway right there. That's for your oil pump. That might not line up when you're dropping it back in. I don't know if you can see that down there, a little slot. That's the top of your oil pump. the shaft that drives it. So when you're dropping it back in, that's probably not going to line up if you've spun the motor over or whatever. So what I did is just get a long screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. You got to stick it down in there. Turn that oil pump till it lines up, just to make it a little easier. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to mess with it, getting everything to line up while you're dropping it down in, and then once it does drop in, it's not going to sit flat because that key's not locked in.